So, hey, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I don't really have an agenda. I just know that when we did Mandalay Bay, I think that was 20, before COVID.
Right before COVID.
But COVID shut the whole world down, like literally 4 days after you spoke there.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years. We're going to come back this year to do another 10X Growth Conference. People still talk about Dana White.
Really?
Bro, I've had everybody. I've had Kevin Hart, Usher, Floyd, Travolta, Trump. I had Trump last year.
That's awesome.
But people still talk about Dana White.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan, man, of you as the American success story, somebody that, from where you came up. I did not know your story about the Bellman, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you've done, I just want to share that with my audience, that the dream is real, man.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm a big believer in the American dream. I'm living it, you're living it, a lot of people are living it, and it's real.
Yeah.
It's absolutely positively real. This is one of those countries, and one of the things that I love about the city of Las Vegas, there's many things that I love about the city, but first of all, you can come here, it doesn't matter what college you went to, who you know, or any of that kind of stuff. Vegas is like a mini America, man. If you come here with the right idea and you work hard enough and you get out there and you kill it, anybody can make money in this town. This town's very unique that way.
Yeah. So why did you pick Vegas for UFC?
Well, I lived here. I mean, this is where my mother was a nurse, and we lived back east in Massachusetts. And at the time,
single mother?
Yeah, single mom. And at the time, they were paying nurses more in Las Vegas than anywhere else in the country. So she packed up the car and the kids and the dog, and we all moved out here. I was like 10 years old. Was it like 78 or 79? And that's how I ended up in Vegas. And I stayed here until I was 16. Then I went back east again, kicked around, and ended up at the Boston Harbor Hotel. I was a bellman there when I was 18, 19 years old. Great job, nice hotel.
What are you earning back then?
It's a place you would go stay. If you went to Boston, you would stay at the Ritz, the Four Seasons, or the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Okay.
And, especially the mentality in the East Coast, everybody's looking for that job where you get great benefits, a 401k. It seems like those are the type of jobs that everybody's looking for, and they get these jobs and they stay there for the rest of their life. But I was 19, I was standing in that lobby, and I was just like, man, I hate this job, and this isn't me. This isn't where I belong. And I know lots of people have felt that way before about their jobs. The difference between me and a lot of people is I got up and walked out and said, I wanted to be in the fight business. Of course.
Why? What about the fight business was drawing you?
I loved everything about the fight business. It's funny because I spoke last Tuesday, I think, in New York at the Sports Business Journal convention that they had. And one of the questions they asked me is, what did you want to be when you grew up? As far back as I can ever remember, all I wanted to do was be in the fight business. I don't know what attracted. It was the energy, the excitement. I was a big Ali fan, then became a huge Tyson fan. So I was always attracted to the fight business. And
so did you want to be like a Don King, or what were you trying to emulate?
There was no specific thing.
You didn't want to be a fighter.
That's what I wanted. At one point, I wanted to be a fighter. But there was no specific one thing that I wanted to do. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do, and that's what would make me happy. And I went after it. And you probably couldn't have a worse idea. You know what I mean? When you tell people that you wanted to get into the fight business, what? That's the dumbest thing.
This is 19 what? 19?
This is 1988, 89.
Yeah. So the boxing's got a lock on everything fighting.
Boxing was huge. I mean, boxing was as big as it's ever been, in the late 80s, early 90s. And then, really started falling apart as it started getting closer to the late 90s and early 2000s.
What made it fall apart?
I saw it start to fall apart at an amateur level. All the big amateur box-offs were on NBC. NBC had just gotten rid of them. I think the last guy, I don't know if this is right, but I'm pretty sure the last guy to really box on, I think, NBC was Floyd Mayweather. And really, when you really look at it, there's Floyd and Oscar and a couple of other big stars. Manny Pacquiao were the last of the real big stars in boxing.
And so did you see, did you want to be in the boxing world, or did you see something else?
It was boxing. I was all about boxing. It wasn't until one night me and Frank Fertitta went out to the Hard Rock here, in Las Vegas, and we saw a guy named John Lewis, and he was a UFC fighter. But at that time, he had the only Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in Las Vegas. And Frank said, "I've always wanted to learn that," and whatever. I said, "Yeah, I've always wanted to too." So I knew him. So we walked over and approached him and started talking to him, and we set up a lesson for Monday to start taking jiu-jitsu. So Frank, Lorenzo, and I all went to jiu-jitsu, and we became obsessed with it. Obsessed. We started training 3-4 days a week, trying to kill each other. And through that, we started to meet a lot of the fighters, and we were blown away by these guys, how smart they were, and how every guy had a different story. In boxing, it's all the same story.
What's the same story in boxing?
I came from the mean streets of such and such, and if it wasn't for boxing, I'd be dead or in jail. That was like every guy's story. With these guys, look at Chuck Liddell, right? He looks like an axe murderer, but he graduated from Cal Poly with a master's degree in accounting. Yeah.
When does it become a business, Dana? Well, when do you see there's a business here? It wasn't popular in the U.S. yet, right?
So at the time, I had 3 gyms here in Vegas, and where we trained fighters and people, you guys like you could come in and work out. And I started representing some of the UFC guys. Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz were 2 of my guys, and I got into a huge contract battle with the old owner Bob Meyerowitz over Tito's contract. And then finally he flipped out and said, "You know what? There is no more fucking money. I don't even know if I have enough money to put on another event," and, screaming at me. And I hung up the phone and I was like, damn, all right. So I called the brothers. They were in Miami, the Fertittas, and I said, "The UFC's in trouble.
Wow.
I think we could buy it, and I think we should." So I connected Lorenzo with Bob Meyerowitz. They started talking, and months later, we owned the company for $2 million. Yeah.
So, did you have the
level? Let me explain to
yeah.
you. Like when I say $2 million, everybody makes that same,
But
holy,
yeah,
exactly, because the ROI is off the charts. But
now,
nobody believed in this thing. When I say nobody, except for 2 guys, Frank and Lorenzo, that's it. Nobody else believed in this thing, right? I don't think I've ever.
So did you have the money to do this at that time?
No, I didn't. The brothers,
you had 3 gyms.
So the brothers put up the money. They bought it, $2 million. They made me the president of the company, and they gave me 10% of the upside. So I never told the story before, but at the time, this guy Bob Meyerowitz had stripped this thing down to all we bought were those 3 letters, which the trademark really wasn't even that strong at the time, old wooden octagon, and 10 or 12 contracts. That's all we owned, right? So all the rights, the DVD rights, which ended up being massive, the video game rights, and all the old library was owned by Lionsgate. We had to go back and negotiate those rights from Lionsgate. And we started talking to these guys. If you think about it, if you're Lionsgate and you believe that this thing could do anything,
you're never going to.
Why would you give up those rights?
Right.
Right? You'd own the video game rights to the UFC, the library.
This is 2000 now.
The old library before we bought it, and all the digital rights, blah, blah, blah. You'd own all that stuff. So they sold it back to us for $2 million. So we bought those back for $2 million too. And sitting in a room.
So they're just sitting on that stuff. They're doing nothing with it.
Yeah, well, they were putting out DVDs, and they were selling DVDs because it was just starting. They had the old library, so they were just starting to sell DVDs.
So this is pre-internet, no streaming.
Right. You're talking about 2001.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, while we were running the UFC, I remember guys were coming in and pitching me on streaming, and they'd show me. And it'd hit play, and it'd be like buffering.
Right.
Play 5 seconds. Buffering. I mean, that's where it was at that time. So for these guys to give up the rights, you had some accountant in there going, "Oh man, this will look good on our books the next 2 years." We're gonna, because I think the thing was a payment of $2 million stretched out over a couple of years, and so they sold it. They sold our rights back to us.
So who's doing those deals for you? the first $2 million for the UFC. How do you negotiate that? You're president now.
Yeah.
You're running 3 gyms. I mean, where did you get that acumen to know that, or is somebody else doing that for you?
I obviously learned a lot from the Fertittas. You know what I mean? So if you really look at it, my first 10 years in this business was like college for me. I'd already done the fight game. I knew the fight game inside and out and all this stuff. And then, diving into this thing, big business, like dealing with millions of dollars to hundreds of millions of dollars, I learned from the Fertitta brothers, 100%. But Frank Lorenzo and I then all had to learn the production business. We'd never put on a fight. We'd never done production, So then we all had to dive in and learn about production.
Which means what in the fight game? Are you talking about cameras, lights,
the whole the
promo,
lighting, the lighting, trucks, beaming, international, and then as streaming started, then we had a whole digital plan for online, and this is all stuff we learned along the way through trial and error.
So how
when you come to a UFC event?
Yeah, I was Saturday night. It was at the Apex.
But that was a over in our Apex, much smaller event. When we do these, we do venues where we do stadiums. We do stadium shows. We do things like this. It is the best live sporting event you will go to. There's 2 different shows. We have an in-house show for the people who are there live, and then we have a television show. But that has been built off years of trial and error and learning.
Yeah. So you're going to go to Abu Dhabi this week.
Yeah.
That'll be an international show.
Yep.
How do you fly over there?
We're flying over there. I'm going with Lorenzo.
Okay.
Lorenzo's got a BBJ that he just
nice.
redid. Yeah.
Nice.
So we're flying over there on that.
So you get there. Is it all being set up right now? I mean, who are you in charge of that?
So
is the UFC in charge?
Yeah, my team. This thing is a very, very well-oiled machine now. We have an octagon over there. We have all that. We have the ability to do anything and anywhere on that side of the world, and the ability to do anything over here on this side of the world. So I got a whole team that works in Europe, that they all go there, on Sunday. They get there the Sunday before the event and start setting everything up.
So what I'm trying to wrap my head around, man, is over 20 years, how did you, first of all, you see this, and then you end up doing something that's never been done before.
Right.
I mean, this is bigger than boxing now.
Well, we've done so many things in the fight business that have never been done yet, and we continue to do that. Our motto around here is be first. Be
like
first.
what have you done first?
Well, we're the first guys ever to have health insurance for fighters. We're the first guys to really do as many events as we do. When we first started out, we were doing 5 events a year, which was a lot for us when we first started. We do 44 events a year now, all over the world. Back then, when we were doing the 5, we were doing them in Vegas or Atlantic City. That's it. Now we do them globally. We're the first ones to ever open a performance institute for the athletes. We have a restaurant here where they eat and get food. They get all their supplements here. It's all free. Training, conditioning is all free. Physical therapy, it's all free.
Why didn't the media cover any of that? I see all the clickbait stuff the media covers.
All the negative stuff that we don't pay anybody and all that kind of
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, that's the narrative that's out there with these media members that hate us and don't like us, and it drives them crazy that they don't know how much these fighters get paid and what they make. And I don't give a shit what they write or what they say.
Yeah.
They're never going to get me to tell.
Oh, they don't know. That's private data.
Yeah,
so the fight.
It's none of their business what they get paid.
The fighters, more than they get paid.
Right. Well, if the fighters want to tell them what they get paid, they can. But you notice none of the fighters ever do tell them what they get paid. They don't tell them anything.
So
it's this little game that we all play here.
Yeah. So you provide health insurance, all their training,
supplements, physical therapy, all that stuff. Everything's free here. So we have a performance institute here. We have one in China. We're opening one right now in Mexico City. We're opening one in Abu Dhabi, and then in the next year or the year after, I want to open one in Africa.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
So Dana, how do you what's the revenue of the UFC? I mean, that's public data, right?
I don't know if it's public or not, to be honest with you.
Is it a lot?
Big number,
Is it bigger than boxing?
Well, the interesting thing about boxing is so busted up and fragmented, right? Think about this. Has there ever been a business that has existed that's made trillions of dollars? Literally, boxing has brought in trillions of dollars. And at the end of the day, there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's no headquarters.
There's nothing. Nothing. Every fight they put on is a going out of business sale. They're trying to rip as much money from you as they can. They never invest in the future. They don't care about
I never
tomorrow.
feel good about the fight either.
Yeah, it's true. How many times have you turned off the TV after a boxing match and said, wow, I got my money's worth. Glad I stayed home on
never.
Saturday. And did
But
that.
I look forward to every Saturday night because, hey, my wife and I spend time every Saturday night, either in the Apex or one of your big fights.
Thank you. And well, you know what the difference is too? We've built a brand that people trust and believe in. They know that if they said stay home on Saturday nights, that I'm going to give you 2 or 3 holy shit moments where you jump out of your chair or your couch or whatever it is, and you know, you got your people that are around you watching a fight with you, and everybody has a great time and everybody sees some good fights. You know, the difference is in boxing, when you're asking me about boxing, boxing never invested in the future. And it was always, like I said, there was a ton of different promoters out there all fighting against each other. We built a brand that people believe in and they know, listen, if I buy tickets to Madison Square Garden, I don't even have, we sell tickets before the fight even is announced, before people even know what it is, because people believe in the brand and the product that we're going to deliver what they want.
And you proved that in that last fight where you had to switch up everything, the guy that didn't make weight.
Right. That's the other thing. A couple of years ago, we had an issue in Nevada with one of the fighters. We moved the entire show to LA during Christmas. It was Christmas week. During Christmas, we moved the show to LA, refunded tickets here, put tickets back on sale in LA for that weekend, and pulled off the whole show and sold the place out.
Wow.
Yeah. I have this philosophy. If you're in business with me, don't tell me no. Nobody in this building ever says no.
You're not saying they're yes men. You're not saying they're just bowing down to you. You're saying, hey, figure out how to make.
It's almost 2023. Anything can be done.
That's right.
Anything can be done. Nothing can't be done. Don't ever tell me we can't do it. No, it can't be done.
Figure it out.
It's not true. We went through COVID. COVID was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my career, going through COVID. We had people battling us. There's an interview of me during COVID where I tell you, we have a fight coming up this Saturday. And the reporter asked me, where is it? I said, it's none of your business. Doesn't matter where it is, because you can't go anyway. Nobody can go. It's on ESPN. That's where it is, okay? I wouldn't even tell the media where we were holding events, because these scumbags would start calling and trying to get it shut down during COVID, you know? And if it wasn't them, it was another network or a politician or whatever, just trying to shut it down because they didn't want it to happen. It was absolute insanity.
So how many events did you do while the country was shut down?
So we were supposed to do 43. That year we did 42. And the reason we didn't do 43 is because ESPN didn't want that other event. They moved it to next year. We did everything we were supposed to do.
That's insane.
Yeah. I just heard a story, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus.